Hi everyone, my name is Malavika Rajkumar. I am the content lead of Nyaya. Today we'll be talking to Dr. Shruti Kapoor. She's the founder of Safety. Let's just wait for her to join. Today, as part of our Nyaya Speaks campaign, we are going to talk about equality in activism and in social development. So let's just wait for our guests to come online. Like I mentioned, today's topic is equality in activism and social development. So if you have any questions you would like to ask our guest, please drop a comment here.
Hi,
Hi ma'am, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Malika?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us today for this Nyaya Speaks campaign session.
Absolutely.
Uh, Yeah, just to give a little introduction to you, to all our viewers, basically, Dr. Shruti Kapoor is the founder of Safety, an organization that works to educate and empower young girls and women regarding aspects of violence. And they have a fantastic survivors toolkit on their website, which you should definitely check out. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking the time out today. Apart from that, you have also been in the sector for quite some time, right, ma'am?
Yeah, I've been in the development sector for almost 15 years now, so it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So, keeping in mind the sort of experience that you have in this sector, we've specifically called you because we want to understand how equality plays a role in activism and in the development sector. So, to
Absolutely.
understand more about this, ma'am, what were the hardships that you faced in activism and in development, and what were the challenges that you had to face in this sector?
Yeah. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Nyay, to
Oh,
Malvika, to Aprajita, because last year when we were building the Safety Survivors Toolkit, we have Nyay as a legal partner, and they really helped us in creating the content for the legal section of the toolkit. So thank you
thank
for
you.
all your excellent work. It's thanks to organizations like yours that it's easier to understand the complexities of the Indian laws. For a common man, a lot of times we are unable to understand the laws because they're so complex. But I think you guys are doing a fabulous job in breaking them down and creating simpler language. And so a huge shout out to you and your team, who are all working. Okay, so let's come back to the question. What were some challenges that I faced? Um, so I've been in the development sector for really long. I'm an economist by training, and my core expertise, when I was doing my PhD program in California, I've always been interested in the development sector. So as to say, because I came from India, I was very aware of, the problems around us, right? Anybody who's grown in India has seen poverty, has seen how poverty plays a role in the lives of people, have seen migrant workers, have seen hunger, very closely. And so I was always interested in understanding what are the root causes of these issues, and how these issues, play a role in a woman's life, right? So, for example, the challenges that women have in entering the workforce if you have, babies early on in your life, or if you have limited education. So I've always been very interested in this area. That's what I did during my PhD program, also in terms of my research. And then after I finished my program, I got into the NGO world, which is, I started my organization Safety right after the Nirbhaya rape case, and that was the turning point for me. And one of the things that was very, very visible at the very onset was how almost every organization or everybody who is working on women's issues, women's rights, uh, are led by women. Most of these organizations that we see, whether you think of UN Women or you think of a Jagori or you think of, Breakthrough or Safety, these are all Indian organizations who are working on women's rights, gender equality, are led by women. So almost to say like women's right, ending gender-based violence, fighting, advancing gender equality is in some sense considered the women's issue. And there has been a long struggle to bring men into the conversation. We are constantly asking, how do we bring men and boys into this conversation? How do we bring men and boys into this work? And though, yes, over time things have improved. Hi, Achal. Over time things have improved. But if you see major organizations working in this field, working on any sort of women's right, are led by women. So that's a very stark reality, a huge gender inequality that we see in this sector. Not to say that they are men not leading this work, they are, but it's mostly from a standpoint of men and boys, right? Like if you think of a Farhan Akhtar leading Mard, how do you engage men into this work? And but organizations like that, like Men Engage, Mard, are very far and few, right? How many men and boys are actually working in the set in advancing gender equality and women's right? So the roles are very clear cut. Um, Having said that, in large organizations, in multinational organizations like a UN, you will see that at the leadership position, there usually will be some, men sitting at the leadership, at the policy making position, right? So who are making all the decisions, who are providing the funding? It's the men who are sitting in those roles, in those positions. Even if you look at our government, right? The percentage of women in our government is so limited compared to men. So they are the ones who are actually making the decisions, providing funding for women's issues, for women's rights, and passing policies related to the advancement of women. And that's very obvious and very clear in the development sector.
That's what, especially in the development sector where a lot of information is data driven. You see a lot of STEM categories constituting a lot of men in leadership positions, especially. And taking forward this point, ma'am, like what was your experience when you started Safety regarding the gendered division there was in terms of leadership? Like, how did your professional circles take to your idea of starting an organization like Safety?
Yeah, I quickly want to give a shout out to everybody who's joining in. I see Aniket, I see Achal. Thanks for joining us. Aniket runs a great organization called Tale of Humankind. Very inspiring youngster. So, when I started out with Safety, which was, right after the Nirbhaya case in 2013, um, it was, if you've grown up in India, I've grown up in India, but, I grew up 20 years ago in India. In
Yeah.
those time, everybody was having conversations around girls' safety, right? How did parents protect? Our parents protected us, saying, "Don't go out in the night. Go out alone. Don't wear," right? There was no conversation about empowering girls, how to keep them safe, on what their legal on what laws are. Now there's so much conversation and so much awareness around the laws, what to do, how to go report. But 20 years ago, that was not the case. And so when I started off Safety in 2013, there was a lot of resistance from women themselves, because this concept of, hey, come, try out a self-defense class because self-defense helps you in boosting your confidence and keeping you more aware. It was almost taken as, no, this is not our problem. Like, we shouldn't be investing in our own keeping child safe. This is, my brother take care of me, your father or the police should take care of us. The onus is not on women, is, what
Hmm.
the is the usual debate. But so yeah, we used to provide free self-defense workshops, and there was a lot of resistance. Women didn't want to come to these workshops. Of course,
Hmm.
in a patriarchal society like ours, men play a huge role. Parents didn't want to send their daughter these sessions. So there was a lot of resistance to the work that we're doing. There was resistance in terms of accepting the work, being a part of the work, and B, in terms of thinking this is any sort of real work. People thought when I started safety, like this as a hobby, or doing this
Okay.
something like that. Okay, a reaction to the Nirbhaya rape case. अभी start करा है 1-2 साल में fizzle हो जाएगा. The passion will die out. Um, so this was not really a mainstream work, right? There were very few organizations really working on women's right and gender equality. Not to,
Yeah.
yes, there have always been women's shelters. There are plenty of women's shelters, domestic violence shelters where women can go. But how many of us were really talking about empowering women with information and education
Hmm.
about, staying safe, about their rights? So I think in that sense, there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of
Hmm.
education that we had to give to women, that it's okay, it is okay to talk about your rights. It's okay to empower yourself with this information. And I think over time, women and girls themselves have realized, now you see so much conversation on social media around this issue.
That's true.
But initially, we were not talking about these issues. So I think there has been that shift. But yes, those were the challenges initially. Like people thought that I'm doing this as a pastime, this is a hobby, it's not a full-time job.
Hmm.
And then, the regular challenges, I think we'll talk about those, the structural challenges that an
Yeah.
organization like an NGO like Safety faces. Yeah.
Yes, on that point, ma'am, like especially in the development sector, even now it's viewed as a very niche field, even though it still does a lot of ground level work. Like, especially, I feel like the development sector is now turning out to be city driven also for that matter, because Bangalore has a lot of CSOs and data driven development organizations compared to many cities that are out there. So,
Right.
sorry, ma'am?
No, no, I was saying, yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so back when you started safety, and I'm sure the problems are very different from the time you started in 13 to what it is now, or maybe it's the same, maybe you can enlighten us. But what were the different challenges that you faced in terms of the institutional support that you received? Like, was there any issue regarding accessing services or institutions? Were people easily available to get information from?
I think uh, start of anything new, which is not being there in the field. You hear me?
Sorry, it's cutting
Is it
off
breaking?
actually.
Is it better now?
Uh, Yeah, yeah, much better. Yeah.
Okay. So when you start off anything new, whether it is an NGO or it is a company or an organization, I think the challenges are similar. The
Hmm.
challenges, of course, are a little bit more in the development sector because of the limited amount of funding that is accessible to NGOs,
Hmm.
to those doing, work in the women's right movement. It's not like you can just raise money, go to a VC and raise money, and because every time you want to raise money, what is looked at is what is your impact, what are the numbers, and anybody working in the development sector understands that impact is hard to measure, or it takes a long time to show impact, right? Because in some sense, the work they're doing is about changing attitudes and changing people's mindsets, right? And it is not easy to change mindsets, it is not easy to change the patriarchal mindset that families have been conditioned to for generations, right? So how do you show impact? And how do you say that, yes, through our work, we have changed 1 million people's mindsets over 1 year? It's not possible, right? But that's what is often asked, and that's where the money is going, and how you're creating impact. And so I think one big challenge was, limited funding in our line of work because you don't have access to the regular sources of funding. Everybody is competing all NGOs or working in the development sector are competing for the same, source of funding.
That's
The
true.
other challenge was, again, when you start off anything new, you have to establish your credibility. You have to establish
Mhm.
yourself, right, as somebody who knows what they are doing. And I
Yes.
remember very clearly initially that we did have a hard time, collaborating with larger organizations. Nobody
Mm.
knew about safety. So many times I remember approaching bigger organizations, but there were barriers to collaborating or them taking us seriously, right? I had to establish
Yeah.
our credibility first. And the only way you can establish your credibility is by actually doing the work, right? There are no shortcuts. It's not like if you enter a field, suddenly you become an expert or suddenly you become famous and everybody wants to work. Over time, you establish your credibility through your work, through your actions. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think those two again were some biggest challenges. I very clearly remember, a lot of big organizations who are already in this space, they
Mm.
would not collaborate with us, or it was hard to reach out to them, right? Because who is safety and who are you coming into this field? So I think
Mm.
those are the challenges. Also now, we see a lot of opportunity to use tech to talk about, social causes, tech to talk about ending violence against women and girls.
Yeah.
Again, back then, it was just an upcoming field. I remember a lot of the tech component of how to use tech variables for women's safety. You would have
Mhm.
seen people creating necklaces and pendants and rings for women's safety. That was the scope
Yeah.
of tech. But now that has increased, and there's a lot more you can do in the field of women's safety when it comes to using technology and adapting technology.
I completely agree with you, ma'am. I definitely feel that now that NGOs and, sorry, the funders are looking for impact-driven assessments
Yeah.
in their funding documents, it becomes a world where NGOs and civil societies now have to compete on social media also. Get those
Absolutely.
numbers out there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is I think a huge a challenge, and also in some ways sad, right? Because it's all driven by numbers. How many followers do you have? At
Exactly.
Safety, even though we are heavy users of social media, if you see our Twitter
Mhm.
account, we are almost engaging, on a daily level, on a weekly level. But our philosophy has always been that instead of running after numbers, we
Mm.
try to work on engagement. So I am
Yeah.
okay with having 500 followers as long as I'm engaging regularly and the followers are engaging with me
Yeah.
regularly, versus having 10,000 followers, half of who are probably bots and they are not engaging with you at all, right? So
That's
yes,
true.
people
Mm.
run after numbers, but if you peel back a little bit, you have to see what is your level of engagement with those numbers also. So it's not
That's
just numbers anymore. Yeah.
That's very true, especially in this field in terms of institutional support, ma'am. What do you think can be done better? Because now we know all the major challenges, especially your organization that has gone through it from ground up. So now
Yeah.
you've established yourself on all platforms in front of funders in terms of your work. Now that you're here, ma'am, what do you think are the institutional mechanisms that can be made better?
I think definitely one is giving more visibility to grassroots organizations, not just for
Hmm.
namesake. For sometimes what happens is in the name of inclusion and diversity, you bring in a person or you bring in an organization, but really don't give them a concrete role or really don't give them a seat at the table. Okay, so in large events and conferences that you organize, yes, there is a grassroots organization, and you're like, here is a grassroots activist, and but go
Mhm.
beyond that, cursory invisibility, and really give grassroots organizations a seat at the table so that they are involved in policy making and decision making. Because at the end of the day, we are doing the work that is with people, people who are, in rural and urban areas. And so as a policymaker, you might sit and be very far removed from what is actually happening at the local level. And unless you engage regularly with grassroots organizations, you're not going to understand what the challenges are being faced by these women, by these girls, right? So giving a
Yes.
seat at the table in a more meaningful way,
Mm.
providing, of course, access to funding is always, has always been an issue. So providing more opportunities to funding. Right now, again, like I mentioned, what is happening is everybody is competing to scramble for the
Mm.
same pot. And because they're
Yeah.
competing, there is less collaboration, which I feel is a huge problem in our sector, right?
Yeah.
Organizations are replicating each other's work or doing similar work rather than collaborating the synergies. Can you
Yeah.
imagine how more effective things would be if we all, brought our synergies together and say, okay, you know what? Nyaya is an expert at legal, but I'm an expert at social media. So let's combine our efforts and put this content out together. Instead of I'm also, creating more legal content, and the other organization is also trying to create similar things that we are doing. So I think
Yeah.
less competition and more collaboration would
Mm.
go a really long way. And then, the other thing is regular dialogues, again, engagement, when
Yeah.
you are changing policies, or you're looking at policies, engage activists, engage people who are doing the work, engage people who and ask for their how many women are actually sitting and in decision making roles and giving their inputs, right? Today we talk about creating safe transportation for women. How many women are actually involved in creating safe transportation? Yes, we are consumers of the transportation, but we are not deciding what and how things should be created.
Yeah.
And I think the last one is really investing in long-term structural changes.
Mm.
And when I say structural changes, you're very aware of what the problems and the loopholes are in the legal policies. And yes, the laws are there, but in the implementation of the laws, right, when it comes to women and
Yes.
girls safety, or anything in the development sector, we are always very quick to say if a rape case happens, we'll quickly want to come up with a solution. But a quick solution is
Mm.
not a long-term solution. You're not
Yes.
addressing the root causes of the problem, right? Yes, you can put a CCTV footage, but then if you don't have the man, a personnel to spend the man hours behind a CCTV footage, what use is the footage for, right?
Yeah.
So invest money in addressing structural problems that exist in our society. Invest in education, invest in gender sensitization programs. I think those are things that the government and the institutions can work towards rather than just finding quick solutions to problems.
Thank you so much, ma'am. These are such critical points. Definitely, definitely, Nyaya is also learning a lot by talking to you today because
Thank you, Malvika.
yeah, I definitely want to acknowledge the fact that both our organizations have gone through very similar problems, and you're correct in saying that synergy is the way forward. Like engagement is what we should thrive for, but unfortunately, funding demands impact, and impact demands numbers,
Yeah.
which is quite a challenge right now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost like a chicken and egg problem, right? I see Isha. Hi,
Mhm.
Isha. It's almost a chicken and egg problem. Like you want to show number, you want to show impacts, but you have limited capacity because you don't have the funding, you don't have the people who can go out and do the work that needs to be done. So a lot of the
That's true.
teams working on development issues are spread so thin. Like,
Mhm.
you are 2%, 3%, 4% teams trying to manage everything at
I know.
work. And I think that really takes away from the main issues, that you get caught up in small things, rather than focusing at the larger picture, and creating the impact that you need to create. I mean, in that sense, I think we are very, very grateful to our volunteers. At this point, we volunteer with people from all over the world, and Safety is a 100% volunteer-driven organization. And had it not been for for
Mm.
people who are generous with their time and who have a passion for this, I don't think we could have achieved what we have achieved. During the past few years. I mean, we just wouldn't have been able to make it without the help of volunteers.
That's definitely true for a lot of organizations in the development sector. Keeping in mind the point you said about how it's so spread so thin, because
Yeah.
you have to rely on people who really want to drive social change in the sector. Like, for
Yeah,
example, Nyaya works with law students to curate content because
right,
we want to put more content out, and there are law students there who are willing to spend time to do this for the public good. So,
right.
it
Yeah,
community is
and
very important.
community is very important. And again, thank a huge thank you to people like these, this who are investing their time and money. Hi, Venkatesh. Not to say that, nobody wants to do free work. Yes, volunteer, yes, but beyond a point, nobody wants to do free work, right? But so
Exactly.
extremely grateful to people who have the bandwidth, the expertise to share their knowledge and time with organizations like ours.
Yeah, definitely. And ma'am, just to understand, now that you've come so far into the sector, and there are many, many women who look up to you because it was a tough challenge for you to
It's
make
such
it
a
back then.
challenge.
We know
Yeah.
the challenges now, but what advice would you give to your younger self regarding the field or anything for that matter?
Yeah, now you make me sound like I'm really old and like in the sector for like ages.
Experiential.
Experience.
Experiential is
Yeah.
what I would say.
Um, I think one of there are lots of things I would love to share, but I think to my
Hmm.
younger self, I would like to definitely say, be more patient. This is
Hmm.
any work in social change or development sector takes time. And we
Yeah.
are in a world where we want to see things move like at rapid speed, right? We want to see the numbers, we want to see the impact, we want to have 100,000 followers in 1 month, and like train like
Yeah.
500, like we want to see things very fast, move very fast, because that's what we are seeing around us, right? Thanks to social media. Social media does that to you. So I would like to
Yeah.
say that if you are entering this field, be very patient with yourself, right?
Mhm.
Change takes time. Changing people's attitude and mindset takes time. And so
Yeah.
don't get disheartened when you don't see change happening rapidly.
Mhm.
Just yesterday I was doing a journaling my thoughts, and I asked myself this question, that why is it that we give more importance to numbers, Today,
Mhm.
if safety is successfully able to help one woman get out of a domestic violence situation in her house, isn't that impact? Isn't that a powerful impact that we have created versus, 100,000, we have trained 100,000 women in X, Y, and Z. I think in look at every possible way that you are impacting and changing the lives of people. And
Mhm.
sometimes it might not be large numbers, but it might be very powerful things that you're doing, right? And so be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's very easy to compare yourself. Nowadays, with access to social media, you can see what everybody is doing, right? And so we often beat ourselves and say, "Oh, we are not doing enough. Oh, I
Yeah.
wish I had that. Oh, I wish I had this award, and I wish I was there." But just be kind to yourself, be persistent, be kind to yourself, and it's okay to not know everything right away, right?
Mhm.
It's okay to not know what your path is going to be. Some people are gifted, and they're great that they have, a vision right away. They know how they want to take the
Yeah.
organization, or what career path they want to have. Others might not have that
Mhm.
insight, but it's okay. You will figure it out as you go along the way. So yeah, I think just be kinder to yourself. Don't get into the rut of comparing yourself with others and others' achievement, because your journey is your own and your path is your own, and you get to choose how you create your path.
Very inspiring words, ma'am. Definitely something Nyaya is also going to strive for because we are still a young organization. And thank you so much for being here today. We should
Thank you,
definitely
Bhairavi.
think about synergies between organizations. Maybe like really have a chat with all these development organizations that feel that they're being blocked. Like, because I completely understand what you're saying. When we started off, some people didn't even know about us. They didn't
Yeah,
want to work with us. Like, why is that happening? Because everyone's trying to do good.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's why, you know, we are very, very open now to working with new organizations and young organizations,
yeah.
because I understand that it is very hard to break through that. And so if you see, a lot of the collaborations that we end up doing are with people, you know, who are young, who are new, and it's fun.
Mm.
It's fun to work with them. Yes, you know, they might not have a name, but they come up with some great solutions and creative ideas, especially, you know, youth-led organizations are so much fun to work with because they bring in a different perspective, and that's the whole point of a collaboration, right? You bring in different perspectives. So, so yeah, definitely. One good news that I have for you, Malvika, is that we
Yeah.
are launching the toolkit in Hindi, which will soon be launched. Yeah. We are also translating the toolkit in other languages. Marathi is on the way, and we
Mm.
will soon be launching a phone app for the Safety Survivors Toolkit. I want to quickly show everybody, since I have a copy of it. Here's the Safety Survivors Toolkit. If you haven't seen a copy of this, this is available on our website. It's an excellent comprehensive guide for survivors of sexual assault. But I'll send you an email, Malvika, Nadraja, and everybody, to give you more details on what, you know, the work that we've done and how we are taking it forward. And also
That's
looking for
really wonderful, right?
opportunities.
That's
Thank
really
you.
wonderful because access to language is,
It's key.
I feel like
Yeah,
the big ring around development sector because doing it in
yeah,
English at one point, we need to branch out. Very, very good
absolutely.
news.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing. You know, we always look up to you guys for legal related things. So kudos again, and thank you for having me on today's live.
Yes, thank you so much for being part of the chat today. And we'll definitely, for all those who are watching, we'll definitely share this because today's discussion actually brought up some key issues, not just in terms of your experiences, ma'am, but in terms of what's wrong with the development sector to an extent.
How we operate.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so again, let's leave on the note that if anyone does want to collaborate with us, definitely Safety and Nyaya are out there ready to work with you on whatever you want to do. So
Yeah, reach out
thank
to
you so
us.
much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who is watching and came to attend the live. We really appreciate your time and support.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Malvika.
everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Shruti. Bye.